Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth, and them which dwell therein, to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode, or I should say, welcome to another day of fellowship with myself, TheSpeakUNeazy. Let's go ahead and go here to, I believe we're in the clouds. Yes, we are. Now, before we discuss whatever we discuss today, because you know how this place is, I'm always being led to where Christ leads me. That's just the way it goes. So today's random read comes from the book of Jeremiah, from chapter 50, verses 44 through 46, and it's entitled, A Cry Heard Among the Nations. Behold, he shall come up like a lion, from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man, that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Once again, this random read comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verses 44 through 46, entitled, A Cry Heard Among the Nations. Let's talk about this random read a little bit. Because, the state of, actually, I would even go as to say the state of this country, in particular, U.S., we've seemed to have lost any sense of dignity and respect for the things that at least I was taught when I was young. Actually, yeah. It's just sad to see how society has morphed into the way it is now. And it seemed, I guess during the mid to late 90s, there's a little bit of things being thrown at us, kind of to like accept this, accept a little bit of this. And it was fine. But it, because of the way human nature is, it seems that when you give a little and you take a little bit, human nature tends to want even more. And, the more when you're generous, when you give them a little bit, they tend to want to take more than what they ask for, until it gets to the point where they actually force things down your throat. And I don't have to elaborate where I'm going with this, because if you understand the changes of what's been going on throughout these decades, you know what I'm talking about. And I even had this discussion with the great Lord today when I was walking my dog about how now the children are being forced into accepting these type of things, or they're even being told that they're not what they are born as. And I said to myself, Lord, I have this feeling in my heart. Although I don't say these things with my mouth, I do have a certain feeling in my heart that I know you wouldn't allow me to have. But because of these wicked things that have been taught to the children, or even brainwashed to the children, I tend to have this certain feeling. And I know God wouldn't approve of it. But how else are you supposed to feel when the children are supposed to be the innocent ones in this? We're born into sin. That is correct. We're born sinners already, because the flesh will always sin. It doesn't matter if you're a child or not. A child, adult, it doesn't matter. We're born into sin, because that's the flesh is sin, right? So, but my thing is, you can protect the children as much as you can, as long as you can. But when they're going to these schools and they're being taught these kind of ideologies, because this is what it is. It's ideologies. It has nothing to do with what's supposed to be taught to children. This is all ideological. These are all agendas being pushed to children so that they become one of them. And now we're having a lot of children are being raised godless. And that's a very sad thing. It's a very sad thing. There are no boundaries with these people. They're very lost. They're very godless. And even though they project that they're happy and they're, quote, loving, you tend to see some sort of sadness or some sort of depression or some sort of something that's missing in them, some kind of joy that's missing in them. And it's only the type of joy that you can have when you actually have a relationship with Christ. And I know this. I know this because of the emptiness that I felt for years and years and years, not having a relationship with Christ and finally coming into this relationship. It's a feeling of joy that cannot be explained, but it can be felt. I am very grateful indeed. Matter of fact, I have a great testimony that I want to share with everybody out there. This past weekend, man, I was busy. It was a good busy. It was a very good busy. But before I share my testimony, I think I see a couple people in the chats. On the foxhole, I see Holy Molly. Good day to you. Good evening. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the country. Thank you for being here. Cynthia Ava, thank you for being here as well. You're not feeling this day. Well, I gotta be honest. I know people tend to take this day as a patriotic day, but I gotta be honest, man. At least for me, in my eyes, we're actually losing a lot of what this day is supposed to be represented as a, quote, independence from England. The state that we're in right now, it's becoming more communist like. And that's just the way I see it. I mean, there's people out there who are celebrating. And, for me, I can't celebrate this day because of the things that I see in this country. And it's sad. I was once a very patriotic person. As a matter of fact, I got myself in trouble at my former job being patriotic. Come to find out, after the 2020 election, that, hey, all that thing that you think is that you think is probably really isn't. And that's just the way I feel, which is why I put all my time, all my attention into Christ, because he has been able to do a lot of things for me that a politician couldn't. And here's here's a prime example. Okay, let me share my testimony. What happened to me this weekend? Because this weekend was amazing. First off, before I even start off with what happened in my weekend, I picked up a job last week, but I had to quit yesterday. I had to quit because it was conflicting with my business. And I have, I put a lot into my business and I have to stick with my business. Not only that, financially speaking, it would be not smart for me to pick the job that doesn't pay as much as my business does. So I'm gonna have to I'm in between jobs, but that's beyond the point. Let me get to the weekend here. So Friday, I do my usual gig at the bar, and that was a cool day. Saturday, I had 2 gigs, and this was during the day. I had 2 gigs, and it was hot. I'm in Central Texas, and it was super hot, and I was outdoors for a total of, okay, so both gigs were about 6 hours, but that's not including the break in between and then the setup and the takedowns. So it was probably easily I would say probably between an 8 to 10 hour day in between. I mean, a total of both gigs. It was hot, and I had nothing lined up for Sunday. So I did all these gigs by myself because, my family's not here right now, and I'm having to do everything all by myself, which is cool. That's just the way it is when you have your own business, right? It was super hot, and I gotta admit, the start of the second gig, it didn't start off good because of the heat. My laptop was bugging. My music couldn't play because of the heat. Luckily for me, one of the security person at the second gig, because these were poolside gigs. Lucky for me, the dude had some kind of portable fan. One of those cooling kind of like a mini aircon fan where you just put ice and water and it blows out really cool air. So I had one of those, and it definitely helped out my laptop. It was able to make it through the whole 3 hours. Anyhow, I wrapped that up on Saturday. I was super tired. I wake up the next morning. Well, I'm sleeping. I wake up to a text message, probably like, I don't know, 7:30 in the morning. And I was already going to wake up like at 8. I woke up at 8 o'clock. So I get this text message, and some lady says, "Hey, our DJ bailed on us. I was wondering if you can DJ for us today," and all these things. And here I am thinking, because I was supposed to go into work at the job that I applied for. And this is one of the reasons why I quit, was because the scheduling is conflicting, and I have to work a weekend. But thinking about it now, it's not going to work out because I have to be all about my own business. I'm going to build this up because we're building up right now. Anyhow, I was thinking about, I was like, man, what am I going to do? Should I take this gig and just skip out on work? So I just took a risk. I said, I'll skip out on work and I'll do the gig. So I did the gig. It was a last minute gig. And did the gig for of course more than what I would have made at the job that I had. And so I got that gig done. Oh, actually, wait. Let's not go that far yet. Okay. So I booked the gig with that lady. Okay. I booked the gig with that lady. And between that time and the start of the gig, I'm trying to download the type of music that she wants for her gig. And I come up with a lead on one of these apps that I use for leads for my business. And I see a lady who's needing a DJ on August. So I contact her. I booked the gig. She asked me specifically, she goes, "Do you know anybody who does decorations and stuff like that?" I said, "You know what? I don't know anybody, but let me get back to you in a couple of days and I'll let you know." And she's like, "Cool." So I was able to book that gig for August. So I got 2 gigs booked on Sunday, the last minute one and the one for August. So I go ahead and go to the gig for Sunday. I do that event. It was a blast. These people wanted some 80s music. I gave them some 80s music. And man, they were a good bunch. They were really a fun bunch, a good bunch. I had fun. So I get the gig done. I start talking to the lady who hired me, and I asked her, say, hey, you mentioned that you had a small business. What is it you do? And she says, well, I decorate I decorate events. I'm like, what? So here I am thinking, I said to myself, in my head, I said, Lord, you couldn't make this more perfect than what you just did. So I told the lady, I said, hey, look, I just booked a gig today for August, and this lady was asking, and the person I booked with was asking if I knew anybody who decorates for events. And now that I have you, would it be okay to give her your number so that she can potentially hire you? And she goes, yeah. So I said to her, I said, you know what? This was meant to be. This was perfect. You know? This was perfect. You know, of course, in my head, and I don't want to bring up, not to say that I'm ashamed of the Lord, but, you know, some people may get offended with that. So I just said, you know what? It seemed to have lined up really well today. I told her that. But in my head, I was thanking God. I was like, Lord, thank you so much. This was definitely meant to be, because you have connected me with somebody who needs services that this person needs, or that this person does. So before I left, a couple of people handed me some cash for tip, whatever, you know, and I didn't look at it at the time. I just put it in my pocket and I left. Okay, I left. So here I am. I leave. I'm far away, probably like halfway home. And I said to myself, you know, first off, while I was driving, I was thanking the Lord for the gig and how perfect He made these things. I was so joyful in the car. I was thanking the Lord so much. I was so grateful for the last minute gig, and also the connection of having to solve the problem of the decoration for August. So I'm driving, and after I thanked the Lord, I was halfway home, and I was like, you know what? They gave me some cash. I'm just kind of curious. Let me just see how much they gave me. I reached out my pocket, and I unfolded the bills. Man, you wouldn't believe how much they gave me, man. Let's just say it was 3 digits, and it was more than one. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. And I've never, like, I would have been okay with like 20, 25, 30 bucks. I'll be happy with that, because I normally don't get tips. For some odd reason, people don't tip their DJs. They tip baristas, they tip restaurants, but when it comes to DJs, people don't really tip for DJs. I don't know. I don't get it, but not that type of person that expects tips, but it's just not a thing that I see that's common. I mean, I've been tipped before, but it's not a common thing. So after like counting how much I had, and it was more than 100. It was more than 100. I said, Lord, thank you so much for this blessing. You know, and it came at a perfect time, because I was feeling kind of beat up. Because I didn't have a gig lined up I don't have a gig lined up for next Saturday. So here I am, kind of feeling a little bummed out. And man, He came through. And He came through more than what was necessary for me. And that's a prime example of what this is when you have a relationship with Christ. And I'm not trying to say any prosperity thing here, but when you're serving the Lord, and when you ask for His help, and I'm not saying ask for riches, I'm saying when you ask for things that you need, okay, what you need, He will come through. And these are the types of these are the things that I talk about that happen in my life that I can't even explain these kind of things. I'm not a new ager that believes in coincidence or the sun and the moon lining of the stars. I don't believe in that BS. It's a blessing for me to wake up every day. That's a gift to begin with. But when God comes through for his children, when they are in need of something, he comes through, man. And I don't want it to come from somebody who's giving it with the wrong intent. It's got to come from the right place for me. That's one thing that I've learned too. That if I'm accepting a tip or something from somebody, I don't want them to feel reluctant to do it to tip me. I want it to come from a good place. Because when something like that comes from a bad place, I believe it doesn't come from God. And if it doesn't come from God, what do you think is attached to that? Bad things. But when people give you something from the right place, that has been ordained by God, and good things come of that. Man, I'm telling you, man, these are the types of things that happen to me from time, not commonly, not all the time, but when they do, they come at the right time. And here I am driving. I'm in tears, man. I'm in tears. Thanking God. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. Whew. Man. What an amazing God. What an amazing Father that we have. And it's only if people would just see the truth about the Lord. If people would just give their lives to him, they would see all these things. They would. But unfortunately, people don't. Majority don't. You know? And I feel sad for them. I don't have a lot of things. I don't. Not like I used to. You know, I had so much money to expend for toys and whatnot, but it still made me feel empty inside. Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time with my family going out to restaurants, expensive restaurants. We'd eat out all the time. You know? Buying brand names like Coach, LV, Fendi, all that fancy stuff, man. But there's still an emptiness inside. And now that I don't have much, nor do I require much, when I need something, he comes through, man. He comes through. And it's real. And these are the types of testimonies I'm talking about, man. And I'm not saying this is a prosperity thing, but I'm saying that when God says he'll take care of his children, boy, he will take care of his children. All you got to do is believe in him. Have faith in him. Accept him as the Savior. I mean, come on, man. That doesn't take much. Just by me saying these things and hearing what I'm saying about what all you have to do is just obey him. Accept him. Man, he sent his only begotten son to cover us with his blood because we deserve a lot. We deserve to be destroyed because of sin, the wickedness. But his son, he found it worthy enough to save each and every one of us. And then when things like this happen, not only to me, because I'm pretty sure there are people out there. There's people out there with the same type of testimonies. I'm not the only one. I'm one of many who follow. I'm telling you, man. Our Father is great indeed. He is great indeed. And then Here's another testimony that I got. A message that made it so clear. And, I think I posted out there on my social medias and out on the YouTube lands that I'll be throwing out a premiere video. Because I was kind of led to throw out a video out there about a particular subject. And, I got to say, I was working on this video for the past, it took me like a week to get an idea for this. And then it took me another week to piece things little by little. I don't even know if I did the video that's gonna premiere later on. I don't even think I did it right, but hey, I pushed it out anyway. But the subject matter came to me at the random read last night. If you follow me on the social medias, I think I posted a random read last night. But man, it was like a straight message. Like, God, if God's leading me to post out a video about a certain thing and validates that with a random read, it can't be more clear. It can't be more clear what God wants me to do for him. It can't be more clear. Oh, man. Whew. But I'm saying right now, though, God seems to be communicating a lot more clearer to me these days. And he definitely did me well this weekend. He did me well. Not to say that he doesn't, like, it's not an all the time thing, because I'm pretty sure it's got to be an all the time thing, because he wakes me up every day. But to allow me to earn on Sunday, that was a big deal, man. That was a big deal. I got way more than what I expected. Way more. And not only through the money, but also how the situation kind of fell into place with everything being aligned perfectly. And it's only God who can do things like that. God is perfect. God makes perfect plans. God executes plans perfectly. Jeez, man. And if only people would just have faith in it, have a relationship, these type of things would happen. And I don't know how it feels to win the lottery, but when that happened to me on Sunday, I felt so much joy. I was tearing up because I was so happy for that. I was so happy. But hey, that's the testimony that I wanted to share with everybody. And that's like one of the biggest testimonies I've ever had. That everything just aligned up perfectly. It was awesome. It was so awesome. So awesome. All right. Before I even step into the next topic of discussion here, let me see what's going on in the chats. Joseph Zepso is in the chats. Good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are. Leafy Greens, what's going on? Praise God. Yes, God is good. Cynthia Alva says he has done the same for... He does that for all his children. He does that for all his children. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, especially when it comes from a good place. When you know that God has said... when God has given the approval for it to happen, it's amazing. Yeah, I've been there crying, says Cynthia Alva. Yeah, he will always provide. He will. And I used to joke around about that. I seriously did. When I wasn't in relationship with Christ, I always used to joke around about that. Like, oh yeah, sure, sure he'll provide. I used to just kind of shun it off, but now I look back and say to myself, man, you're an idiot for saying things like that. All right. So let's, there's something that I wanted to talk about here. And I think this has been a topic of discussion with the intrawebs, not necessarily with, the Christ following intrawebs, but I guess we can call it like pop culture intrawebs. So I'm going to play this snippet here. It's a podcast. And so it's about this dude. His name is Adam22. And you may or may not know who he is. But I guess he has a podcast or something. And his wife also does a podcast with him. They're both, corn stars. They're both corn stars. And apparently, I guess they would do scenes with each other and other women normally. And I get, you know what? I'll make the video clip speak for itself instead of me having to explain this. But just a little context. The dude he does corn, so does his wife. They shoot, and normally they shoot, it's him, his wife, and another woman, usually. But he's in this podcast right here. And I want to play this. And I think this is becoming a problem with society nowadays, especially with the younger generation. They're beginning to they're not treating sex as a sacred joining of two people to create life. Rather, and I'm guilty of this too, I think we all are. We've either I'm pretty sure I know I used to use sex as just a pleasurable thing, instead of having the connection with your loved one to create life. But if you're in a married a married relationship, like if you're married to somebody, then yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with just having pleasure with each other. I mean, that's part of being married, right? But the true meaning of having sex together is to create life. But anyways, let's go ahead and go to this video clip here. There may be some profanities or some ratchet stuff being said, but I want to be able to play this for you guys so then you understand what's going on here, because this is seriously becoming a problem. Actually, it already is a problem. It's not becoming a problem. It's already a problem, and it's kind of getting out of hand here. So let me go ahead and share this. Fair use, because we're talking about this. We're kind of breaking this down, right? Let me go here. Okay, so I'm gonna put myself on mute. We're gonna go ahead and listen to this. I'll play a little bit of it. I won't play the full thing, but just enough for you guys to get an idea of what this is all about. And then we'll go to scriptures to kind of talk about these things. So I'll see you guys in a bit here after the clip.
Are you ready for my announcement?
This is Samoan work.
I would like to share this with you.
Oh, yeah, come on, cuz.
All right. And I feel like Destiny might have a perspective on this. But so I've been with my girl for 7 years. We just got married. We're not in an open relationship, but from a porn perspective, we shoot with other girls, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But no other guys is busting her coochie and asshole.
Well, you guessed it. Over the weekend,
Oh no.
Something like that happened.
she filmed her first ever scene with another man.
I know you was mad.
Shit.
You was angry.
I agreed to it, so I wasn't. I say
but-
angry might not be the word.
But you was kind of like disappointed a little bit. Like, you vibe like, that's your cinch.
I agreed to
hood.
it. She gave me a lot of outs on the way in. Like, she
Yeah.
kind of kept telling me, like, if you don't want me to, I won't do it.
You should have said no.
I said that I wanted
You
her to
already
do
got
it. I'm
millions
like,
on top of millions of dollars, Adam. You didn't do that shit.
fair enough. But I told her, I'm like, I think you should do it. Let's get it
All
out
right,
the way.
so how do you vibe about it now?
She's
Do I
32.
need to get you an old English?
No, yeah, I don't need to drown the pain in Old English. But I was kind of surprised because I feel like I can like intellectualize it, and from my perspective, I don't think it should be a big deal.
Yeah.
But then after she actually did it, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel kind of odd.
Oh,
get
neighborhood
a
crib,
little
like-
bit of
like
that feeling
on
in the
hood.
belly,
See,
you know?
on wood, like,
was the guy
goddamn,
black?
like, fire real.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
goddamn,
man.
like, on wood.
All right. Let me just cut. I'm going to cut it, and we'll talk about this. So you heard what he said. He allowed his wife to shoot with another dude. A scene, whatever. There's a problem here. They might not think it's a problem, but in God's eyes, there's a really big problem here. And I want to go ahead and refer to scripture here. So let me go ahead and let me share scriptures here with you real quick, okay? Let me just turn that off here real quick, bring you guys back to the clouds here, and then let me just set this thing up just to make sure I'm on the right scripture. Where am I at? Give me a minute here. I'm trying to look for it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to share the scriptures right here, okay? Okay. So let's go here. We're at Mark. Book of Mark. I believe we're in chapter 8. Mark chapter 8. And you guys probably know where I'm going with this. Okay. Let's go start here with I don't know. Let's start here with chapter 8 verses 31. Okay? And he began to teach them, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spake that saying openly. And Peter took him and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked unto his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. Okay, so let me continue. Let me continue with this. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let them deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. And this is where I want to get to. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in the adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. So, the motivation behind him giving his wife the approval to do that was because of money. And the thing is, from what I've heard about these guys, as far as Adam 22 and his wife, they make a couple $1 million a month. A couple $1 million a month. I mean, I don't know. I would think that $500,000 is good, and that's more than enough. I think $250,000 is good enough. That's more than enough for a year, in my opinion. But they're making about a couple million a month. And they did that. He made that decision because it was a business and financial decision, according to him, according to Adam 22. So he's willing to the covenant of marriage for money, for the world. And now that I'm talking about this kind of ties into what I was talking about earlier about how God provides, and if the money comes from the right place, if God has allowed it to happen, then good things will happen. I think good things will happen to that person. But if the money comes from the wrong place, from the wrong, and it's not approved by God, I do think that there are horrible stigmas attached to that. And this is exactly how a lot of especially young women, this is the thing that a lot of young women are doing nowadays to not only gain clout, but also have financial gain. And a lot of these women, they don't have morals. They don't have a godly foundation. They may say they do, but people say that all the time, but that doesn't mean that they do have it. Because if they did have a godly foundation, they wouldn't even be doing something like that to begin with. So I wanted to talk about how this is a problem. And a lot of people are doing this for a lot of the wrong reasons. And as time goes on, especially with him and his wife, it kind of shows that he's not too happy about it. I mean, you'll be able to have all this money, but you're gonna have the money. With the money comes that baggage of bad stuff that comes with it too. And I'm not talking in a new age kind of way, but I do believe that if God approves certain things to happen, as far as like what I said, when I was able to earn Sunday, he approved that to happen. That came from the right place. But this stuff comes from the wrong place. Maybe a lot more money than I made, but there's definitely more bad stuff attached to that money than the money that small amount. I mean, if I'm doing a comparison here, a small amount to that guy, right? That small amount has a lot more good stuff. It outweighs, okay, the small amount compared to that guy's huge amount. My goodness the goodness in that small amount outweighs that stack that has a lot of bad stigma behind it. If that makes any kind of sense. Because I do believe that God allows you to, when people receive certain things, it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It could be food, it could be anything. Clothing. If that comes from the right place and it's approved by God, great things happen. Goodness happens. It's being used for good. But when you have these bad things, a lot of bad things come with bad things. A lot of good things come with good things. That's how normally it is. But this is definitely a big problem with a lot of young women nowadays, who definitely do these kind of things because they don't want to get a normal job. I kind of get it, but I don't get it. I kind of get it that they don't want to have a 9-to-5 because I'm in the same boat, but I'm doing something that God has blessed me with, the talent to DJ. I'm using that to make my own living. Another thing too is that I'm not in love with the talent that God gave me to glorify myself. I'm just using the talent that God gave me to make a living because I understand that even though I don't want to be a part of this world, I still have to live in it. So I'm just using the tools that God has given me to make my own living, as opposed to falling in love with the world, trying to be a popular DJ, trying to make all kind of stacks. It's no. And it's funny because there was a gentleman that I was talking to at that gig that I did on Sunday. And this guy was, he's an entrepreneur. He was talking about how he has multiple businesses, and it's every other word that came out of his mouth was all about money. And he was talking to me about these things. And I said to him, I said, because he was telling me like, it's all about the bottom line, always about making the money and all that stuff. But I told him, I said, look, I told him, because he was, how did this conversation go about? Oh yeah, the conversation went kind of this way. He was talking about how he owns multiple companies. He's all about making money. He's always trying to find new ways of making money, all this stuff. And he was talking about how young people don't have skills. And I told him like, yeah, I'm kind of that type of person too. I don't really have a skill. And then he asked me, well, what did you do before this? And I told him, I was like, yeah, I was a cop for like 15 years. And he goes, oh, okay. So I said, yeah, I don't really have any skills. I mean, I can do the whole security thing. I'm not a wazoo dude, but when it comes to security stuff, I can do that. I told him, but for me, with my company, because he was kind of saying, you should go in the karaoke business too. I was like, nah, I can't. I don't really feel like doing that stuff too. I mean, I told him I was thinking about it, but I don't think it's for me. And I'd feel uncomfortable giving people equipment like a microphone or something when they're drunk. Because usually when you're doing karaoke events, there's a lot of drunk people. And sometimes, I just don't want to intervene when they're drunk that way when they have my equipment. And I'm like, oh man, you're going to break my stuff. But anyways, I was telling him, I do have a vision for my company. I said, I would like to have like at the most, 3 people work under me, 3 DJs work under me, because it's manageable. And I even told him, I gave him a little snippet of my own personal life. I said, you know what? I to be honest, I know business is supposed to be for profit, but I'm not looking to be some kind of millionaire. I told him this straight up. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to become a millionaire or any popular dude. All I'm doing is trying to make a living. That's all I'm trying to do. I told him I made a lot of money when I was a cop, but that came at a price where I almost lost my family. And now that I'm able to do this, especially with my family, I don't want to have to get to a point where I'm going to have to choose between my business and my family. I'm just using the skills that I have to make a living. If I'm able to make a little bit extra, then that's great. I get to go on a trip, every now and then if I could. That's great. That's awesome. But I didn't tell them this, but I'm not trying to be rooted in this world. I'm not trying to plant any roots here, man. I'm trying to get up to the next level. And your world status is not going to matter once you're in judgment. It's not going to matter. And I think a lot of people, they mix the whole thing up with success and happiness, and when they should know that true success and true happiness only comes from Christ himself. I mean, I just explained it earlier that I was so happy that I was able to, things lined up for me on Sunday. And it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to earn a lot more than what you expect, but it's not something that I look for all the time. Or I don't even look for it at all. If it happens, it happens. So, in a nutshell, I told the guy I'm just trying to be a humble dude. I'm just trying to make a living. That's it. I don't need extra. God has already blessed me. I didn't tell him this, but I said I'm already blessed with my family. I couldn't ask for anything more than that. I'm very blessed that I can DJ, that I have the ability to do this, and at the same time make a living off doing it, because it's a fun job. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. It could get It could get stressful at times, especially if you're doing like a wedding or something where you're, there's more level of pressure. But for most part, I have a lot of fun. And I have a lot more fun when I watch my daughter DJing for a crowd. That is an amazing sight to see. And I say to myself, man, Lord, thank you so much for blessing her with that skill and having us connect because of that skill. I'm not in love with the skill. I really am not in love with the skill. I use the skill for the purposes that God has blessed it upon me for, which is to make a living. And I'm just grateful for that. I don't go out of my way trying to be somebody who's well known, because I don't want that kind of life. It's too noisy. That type of life is too noisy, and there's a lot of fake people who try to attach themselves to you when you become popular, when you become, quote, successful as the world sees. So I'm just grateful that, in a nutshell, I told the guy, I'm just grateful to make a living doing this. And it's an added bonus when I have my family with me. And I'm glad that it's a connection between my daughter and I to have some kind of father-daughter relationship, that we're able to do this together. Man, God is great. God is great. And anybody out there who says otherwise, well, I feel sorry for you. Because you really don't. When people say things like that, they're really, truly not happy within. I'm telling you, man, God is amazing. He's always there for his children, and he will bless his children. I don't know how many times I got to say this stuff. But people still refuse. They still want to be lukewarm. They still want to be on the fence. I mean, for those who are on the fence, or for those who only claim to be Christ followers when it's convenient for them, don't you see the world that we live in right now? You got to make a choice now. You got to pick a side. I mean, the time to toy around with this is done. It's been done for a few years. I mean, if 2020 did not tell you that we are now in a different world, this is the norm now. Sorry to tell you, but there's, whatever life you had prior to 2020, it ain't going to be the same. It ain't going to be like that. You may think, it may seem like it is. It may seem like it's still continuing on how it was before, but man, I'm telling you, these evil people out on, the UN, these people are making decisions for the whole world that a lot of people don't even know about. Whether you like it or not, it will be implemented in this whole world. You may try to, you may listen to some podcasters or some politicians say otherwise. Man, it's all BS, man. And I hate to sound like that type, but if you're biblically structured, you understand that these things have to come to pass. It will happen. And God has allowed it to happen because God has given you a choice to make. That's why he allows these things to happen. He's giving you a choice to make. Are you going to be in? What team are you going to be in? I know what team I'm going to be in. It may not be popular as to what the world may think, but I don't care. I'm done with this world, man. And if you've listened to me long enough, you'd probably think the same way, or you'd understand why I feel this way. It's a wicked world, man. It's a wicked world. Why would you want to be a part of this place? It's very wicked. You still have to deal with the things of this world. You still go through sadness. You still go through depression. You still go through hardships, struggle, anguish. You still go through all these things here in this world. It doesn't matter if it changes. You're still going to go through the same emotional feelings, if you're attached to this world. Man, I'm trying to go up to heaven, man, because I know in heaven that those negative feelings are not going to be attached to that. Those negative, the things that I just mentioned, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there, man. It's eternal life. People who are sad and depressed don't live eternal lives. People who are happy live eternal lives. And I want to be a part of that. I may not be able to get it in this world or in this shell of a body that I have, but I'm definitely preparing myself for the next step, man. I've screwed up so much in my past. I've swatted God's hand away from me so many times that I'm trying to invest now so I can get in. I'm doing all I can. I'm doing all I can to spread God's word. And as a Christ follower, you have to do that too. You can't keep the gospel to yourself. The gospel wasn't meant to be kept for the self. The gospel was meant to be spread and shared to everybody, which is what I'm doing. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a prophet. I don't claim to be any of those types of things. Nor do I want the responsibility to be one. But I'm just doing what God has told me to do, and that is to spread his word. Well, that's what I'm doing. Sharing my testimony, my experiences, and also the actual word of God here. You can't be wasting time anymore. You just can't. We don't have time for this. We don't know when Christ is coming. I tell you what, though, even though we don't know when he's coming, he definitely will give a heads up to his people. I guarantee you that. He will. He has before, and I know he will again. But it's only if you have this relationship with him that you know these things, because the way he communicates it to you. He's always given a warning to his people. You know, it's a good example of that. Moses, right? When he told Moses to tell his people to put the lamb's blood on the door frames, he told him. You know? Even with Noah, he even told him too. So I'm telling you, God will always give a warning to his people. But his people, if you want to be a part of his people, you got to have this relationship with him. You got to accept him. Of course, willingly. You know, I don't want you to have I don't want you to have that impression that I'm forcing you to accept him. Like, it's up to you. I'm all in with Christ, man. I'm all in with Christ. There's no other way that I would want it. And because I'm all in with Christ, he's definitely blessed me every day I wake up. Every day I get to, you know, right now I don't see my wife and my daughter because they're out of the country, but, you know, having them to wake up as well and blessing me with their life, that's a gift to me every day that I'm thankful for. You know? Very, very thankful for it. All right. Let me see what's going on in the chats here. Hey, what's going on, Axiom? I will not be able to respond to the chat, but will be listening. Blessings to every... Hey, no problem. No problem. What's going on, Tree Gamble? Cool. All right, so I'm probably going to go another, I don't know, like 40 minutes or so, because I know I'm premiering a video like at 7:17. I did that on purpose. 7:17, I did that on purpose. So let's go ahead. Let's continue off where we left off. Let's continue from where we left off the last time we were here, and that was like more than a week ago. But hey, you know, I really hope that people would listen to what I'm saying. You know, I don't I don't seem to be the popular cat around here, but it's cool. But I just would like somebody to hear and at least take into consideration what I've been talking about as far as having a relationship with Christ, you know? A lot of people are selling their souls for the stupidest things. It's a very short-term thinking kind of thing, you know? People are thinking of the now. I mean, I get it. I'm guilty of that too sometimes, but honestly, God will make things happen day by day. I'm beginning to figure out that God will make things happen day by day. You can't really plan your life too far ahead, and you kind of have to go by what God gives you every day. And Sunday was a prime example of that, because I did not expect somebody to hire me that day. I was ready to go to my job that I quit the next day. I was ready to go, but I was hired. Praises to God, man. And he made the things line up. He made it all line up together. And I'm grateful, forever grateful. Man, I was crying on the way home. Not crying, I was tearing up, tears of joy, of course. But it's amazing when God intervenes at the right time. It's amazing. All right. So let's go here to scriptures. We're going to continue at Genesis chapter 16. Genesis chapter 16. Give me a minute here. I want to take a swig of some water. Hold on. Hey, what's going on, Trick Pony? Thank you for coming by. All right. So here we are, Genesis chapter 16. We'll start it from verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Oh, you know what? This what I was talking about kind of falls into place with the story of Abraham, doesn't it? Let's read on. And Sarai said unto Abram, now, behold now, the Lord hath restraineth me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised. Her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, man, this was so similar to the video clip that we just played, only in reverse. My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. Man, isn't that how it's awesome how God just connects these discussions to scriptures, doesn't it? Isn't it awesome? And Sarai said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarai, behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou? And whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Okay, I'm going to pause here real quick. So you remember when I said that everything that is from a bad place comes with a bad stigma? What did that explain? What did that explain about her child to be? Right? If it wasn't approved by God, bad things happen. But if it was approved by God, good things happen. Seems to be the consensus, right? It seems to happen like that all the time. So it wasn't ordained, right? God didn't ordain for Hagar to get pregnant by Abram. It wasn't like he didn't give him permission. All right, let's continue on. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer-lahai-roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old, and Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. Chapter 17. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me, and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father to many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, by thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man, child among you, shall be circumcised. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man, child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, I'm getting mixed up here, sorry. As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? Man, Abraham's testing God, man. God is capable of doing anything, bro. What are you doing, dude? And Abraham said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, the circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the same day as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9, when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old, when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the self same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him. So, before I even start chapter 18, man, this lines up perfectly to exactly what I was talking about earlier, right? It was God's timing that he was able to provide for me. I didn't try to do anything unethical or anything bad to kind of make it happen. But God, he allowed things to happen, right? He just allowed the booking of that gig. He allowed these things, and it worked out well. And I was way blessed after the gig, because I've learned to put all my trust into God. And to be quite honest, like, the people that I've been booked with lately they've been really cool. Like, I haven't had any problems. They've been very decent people. So I know God is allowing all these things to happen. And I'm looking, if you've been here long enough, or I live my life looking at things with a spiritual eye. I don't look at this. I don't look at things with just a human eye. I look at things as a spiritual eye, and I look at things. I look at how things work spiritually. Yeah, I'm not saying I have any superpowers or anything like that. Don't get it mixed up, because I'm not. I just have a different view of how the world works. because this is the state of the world that we're in right now. Because of the state of the world that we're in right now, everything to me is very spiritual. Everything. Even the slightest contact you have with certain types of people. It's all spiritual. Okay? So this lines up perfectly because it's God's timing, man. You know, you may pray to God for the things that you either want or you think you need or you do need, but it will come at the right time. Because for me, it came at the right time. I wasn't trying to force anything. And to be honest, I didn't even expect to do a gig on Sunday. I did not even that came out of the blue. I woke up, I saw a text message asking for a DJ. I was like, I'll do it. But, you know, because of the things that happened, the interaction I had with the gentleman there who's an entrepreneur who's always trying to make some kind of money, and also you know, having to find out the person who hired me is she decorates for events, and then having to leave there with being tipped heavily. That right there, me talking to that guy was a way of glorifying God for sure. And the way things worked out, I knew in my heart that was approved by God. Everything about it was approved by him. Even for me not to show up to the other job, that was approved by him. And I'm just grateful. And this right here, this story right here in Genesis about Abraham and Sarah, it's a similar story. Sarah didn't want to wait. That's the problem. She didn't want to wait. She decided on her own that, yeah, you know what? Go ahead and sleep with my servant. Sleep with my servant and bear me a child. And what happened? You know, they bared a child, but it wasn't ordained by God. God didn't approve of it. And so he still comes back to Abraham and says, okay, Sarah's going to have a baby, even though she's like 90 something years old. So let's continue on to read here. God is awesome, man. God is awesome. All right, chapter 18 from verse 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do, as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hasted to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, as he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind. And check this out, man. Here comes the doubt. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. Therefore, check this out. Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being also old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Is there anything too hard for the Lord? Dude, I don't know, man. They doubted God. She doubted God, man. She doubted God. At the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not. Not only did she mock God by laughing at what he said, but she lied to him, dude. She lied to God. I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh, man. God calling her out, man. Crazy, dude. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, man. Now we're getting into some serious stuff here, man. Because, quite honestly, look at the state that we're in right now. Look at the state that we're in right now, man. We're about to enter this whole story about Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot and his family. So, for those of you who are on the fence, you gotta listen carefully. Especially for those who are on the fence. Verse 21. I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. And Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous and the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? And this is where Abraham starts bargaining about the numbers, right? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure, see, he's bargaining at this point, man. There shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. I'm going to pause here real quick. because this is something I got to address too with a lot of people who pray to God. Especially, I would say people who are on the fence, who are lukewarm, quote, lukewarm Christians. And a lot of people do this all the time. They always try to bargain with God when they pray. Oh, God, please do this for me. Please give this to me, and I'll do this for you. Like, first off, you're nobody to God. Second off, like, what is it that you can do or have that you can bargain with God? What is it that God can't already have or can't already do without you? You know what I mean? And that's a problem. I think a lot of people nowadays, when they pray, they bargain, and I'm guilty of that too, because I used to do the same thing. And this is prior to me having a relationship. I always treated God as a genie in the bottle, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be so. God is not a genie in the bottle. He's our Father, and as children, we are supposed to obey our Father. Whether we like it or not, we have to obey. You know, I mean, you can choose not to obey. You can choose not to even accept him as your father. You can choose that all you want. But, you know, that's not going to erase the fact that the truth is still the truth, that he's still your father. And it'll be revealed to you when the time comes. Hopefully sooner than later. At the end of it all, man, believe it or not, you're going to believe. And, you know, it says in scriptures that even when it's time for judgment, even when God has proven to people who he is during judgment, there's still going to be a percentage of people who still won't accept God no matter what, even when they go to hell, that's sad. It's very sad. It's very sad. All right, let's continue on here. Verse 29. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, Peradventure there shall be 40 found. Peradventure there shall be 40 found here. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall be 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Yeah, he's bargaining with God, man. I mean, at least God was entertaining his bargain, right? And I don't think he was doing it in a disrespectful way either, because I think he knew that his nephew was out there too, Lot and his family. Let's see. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto thee, Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. Man, God already knows that he's going to lower the number and lower the number. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I won't. But he already knew that he was going to, because there wasn't, there wasn't anybody there. And he said, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. He bargained down to 10. He still couldn't find 10 people there. All right. Let's top it off here with chapter 19. Because I got to feed my dog, and I got to take my dog out. And just a reminder, guys, at 7:17, at least 7:17 here, Central Time. I don't know what time zone you're in. There's going to be a premiere video that I just pushed out. I hope you guys enjoy that video. Hope you guys are able to catch the live. I'll probably be around the chats saying hi to people. So I just want to give a reminder there. And if you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, or all that good stuff here on the YouTubes or wherever platform you're listening at, please do so, as it helps to spread the word of the Lord out there. The algos catch it and it pops up in people's suggestions or whatever's. It's greatly appreciated if you please do that favor for me. Thank you so much. So let's go here, tap it off at chapter 19. And there came two angels at Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. Man, the way that this whole push for that alphabet stuff, man, is becoming like this. Becoming like Sodom and Gomorrah, dude. It's becoming like it. I wouldn't say that a lot of people are turning into it, but it's a very loud minority of people, you know? And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. In other words, where are they at? Because, you know, these dudes are trying to get some. And Lot went out the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that particular verse right there, man. But I don't know. I would, and I'm not trying to add to scriptures, but I'm gonna think as Lot. I'm gonna think what I think Lot was thinking. Maybe he knew that they weren't into girls, and he knew that they weren't gonna do anything to them. That's my assumption, because they want the dudes. So that, I don't know. And a lot of people have a problem with that particular verse as far as why did he do that? Well, like I said, he probably knew that they weren't going to do anything because they didn't like women. They liked men. I think. And they said, Stand back. They said again, This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides? Son-in-law, any thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. I'm telling you, bro. Man. You know, at the rate this country's going, I would say the world. the rate of the world, man, it's probably going to be the same way, man. Scary thought. So I keep telling people, man, have that relationship now. You can't waste time. You can't waste time. Time is it's ticking. We're running out of time. Yeah. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of this city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. O let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zor. The sun was risen up the earth when Lot entered into Zor. And the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zor, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zor. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. Different time, man. Different times. I couldn't even fathom that thought. And the firstborn And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Benami. The name is the father of the children of the Ammon unto this day. Different times, man. I couldn't do that. Crazy. But as far as that story goes, I'm talking about the whole destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Sounds like the present times to me. All right, folks. I enjoyed having fellowship today, and like I said, here's a little reminder. In about about 30-minute-ish, there's gonna be a video premiere that I'm pushing out here in the YouTube's land. So if you get, if you follow me on YouTube, if you subscribe to social medias, I posted it out everywhere. It'll be kind of fun. Hopefully I get some criticism for it, constructive criticism. I'm always down for it because I had no clue how to make this video. I had to make it. It was one of those things that I was led to make. I had to. And I did. Hopefully I did a great job. I always want to be able to do the best job for our Father up in heaven. I may not have as much skills as other content creators do, but hey, I try to do the best with what I got. Especially in this old brain of mine. So anyhow, once again, I want to thank you guys for hanging out. You guys have a safe day today, because I know there's going to be a lot of popping of stuff, whether it be fireworks or, some bang bangs out there. Just be careful. And if you're consuming alcohol, please don't get to the point where you can't handle yourself. Please don't. It's not a cool thing. If it's one thing that I always despised when I was a cop, is drunk people. Because they were unpredictable ones. It didn't matter if you were a happy or a violent drunk. Either drunks, a drunk is a drunk. Try to keep it at a minimum. Don't get to the point where you're inviting where you're opening things up for certain spirits to get into you. Whether it be in your mind or your body or your spirit. Don't get to that point. Be safe out there. Okay. So, peace and blessings, brother, and to the chat. I will catch the pre. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Axiom. Joseph Zebsos, Powerful Scriptures. Absolutely. Tree Gamble, thank you for being here. Cynthia Ava. Leafy Greens. Joseph Zebso. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chats. If you haven't liked, shared, subscribed yet, please do so. Whatever platform you're at. Trick Pony, Holy Molly. Thank you guys for being there at the Foxhole side. And Infinite Reach Ministries. Thank you for being here too. I don't usually get anybody on the Twitch side, but hey, thank you for being here. Greetings from Turkey. Wow, we're hitting Turkey. Cool. That's good. So anyhow, before I let you guys go, always remember to pick somebody up whenever they're down. Look, we're all going through something hard in our lives, but that doesn't mean that we take away the focus out of people who are still in need of help. And there's a lot of ways that we can do this, right? We feed those who are hungry. We give water to those who thirst. We give clothing to those who are naked. We talk to the people who are lonely. Most of all, though, for everybody, please pray for them. Whether it's for somebody that you know, somebody you don't know, friends, family. And I will even say this because I do it myself. Even the people who have done you wrong, pray for them. That they may be able to get that chance to have that relationship with Christ. Pray that they are able to get their eyes opened and their ears opened. So, with all that being said,
the bar is now closed.
I can't help but wonder if I'm under a spell. It's more than a passing notion. I've never fallen with such devotion. I can't help but wonder if it's only a dream. Am I naive or can I believe that things are really as they seem? Can anyone explain how to understand what's true? I know I just can't take it. Whenever I'm with you, I can't help but wonder if you wonder about me. 'Cause lately I can't help but wonder how wonderful this might be. Can anyone explain it? How to understand what's true? I know I just can't take it. Whenever I'm 'cause lately I